everybody, welcome to Sled Talk, where we love talking everything snowmobiles, from pulling the cord to pulling your hair out. There's nothing in the snowmobile world that we won't talk about. I'm Rob Reed.
I'm Steve Glass.
And welcome to what I would think is our Season 2 wrap-up.
Okay.
Is there, we've talked about this, maybe we'll throw a couple in the summer, having some time at the lake and that sort of thing, but snowmobile season really is kind of behind us.
We're going to be at the Little River Relics Snowmobile Show in Minnedosa Saturday.
Right.
I won't bother with the date because this is going to come out after that.
Yeah, well.
Showing off some of my sleds. I've never done that before. We'll see what it's like being at a show.
Yeah.
With other people interested in vintage machines. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I've never showed anything before.
Well, and this is kind of where I'm wondering is, because I'm pretty excited about checking this out as well. And you said there's going to be about 70 sleds or so there, which to me is a pretty good number of sleds. And it should make for some great viewing. It's an indoor venue.
That's the cool thing about it,
which I think is great. And they're going to have a cafeteria, so there's food, etc. But I start to wonder if there's an opportunity, and I know we've talked about these things, but is there an opportunity to do something similar here so that we're not, I'll say, trying to take business away from them or take people away from them, but maybe in the fall so that, people get to show off their sleds and maybe they don't have the means to travel 2.5 hours to Minnedosa. So I don't know, but
there are a few smaller shows around here that we've just not gone to.
Okay.
But these guys reached out and kind of invited me, so I thought good one to try. Start with first. If it's a lot of fun, we really like it. There's a few little shows that are kind of on our area more. We'll maybe look into them next year, but they're mostly, unfortunately, right during my busy season.
See, and I don't want to take away from what other people are already doing. But if, like you say, if there's something nearby that we can, jump in and get involved with and help them promote it a little bit more, I think that'd be a great idea.
That's something earlier in the fall, for sure.
Yeah, before the snow flies.
Yep.
All right. So, Steve, you and I, as much as we've talked about riding together since we were little kids, and we have, we did 2 rides together this year.
Yeah.
Like 2 rides, that's it.
Yeah.
And we need to change that.
Oh, I know. Next year, I was talking, I've got to have a much more open schedule next year.
Yeah, well, mine's wide open now.
Yours is, yes.
And so there's no excuses from me. I just need to get you kind of more on board.
Yeah, I want to try to free up every weekend.
Yeah, true. I don't know. We should start going out on Wednesdays.
Oh, sure.
Thursdays. I don't know. Pick your day.
Yeah, that's actually even better because then there's nobody else out on the trails.
Well, the nice thing is if we do it correctly, we could be following the groomers and be on the beautiful trails right after they've been groomed, so we can really enjoy the ride.
Sure.
And before they get all beat up from a weekend of heavy use.
Yeah.
So there's that opportunity. So, why not? But yeah, only 2 rides this year.
That's true. I think I only did about less than a dozen rides at all with anybody this year. So yeah, it was not a good year for getting out for me, for sure.
Well, I did more. I certainly did a lot more riding this year than I did last year or the year before.
It was the best season we've had for a couple of years.
Because of the amount of snow we had mainly.
Yeah.
Which made it a lot better.
I think maybe that's why I didn't get as much riding in, because I was scaled back from the last 2 years. I just never really got back in the groove this year yet.
Yeah, for sure.
Next year.
But now that the season's kind of over, but there's still some ice out there. And when we were kids, we used to do the spring ride, which was, the idea was to go out and find water and ride on the ice and have all kinds of fun. And we were just dumb kids, and that's what we did. Yeah. And we've since learned not to do that for a whole bunch of reasons. And we've shared some of that in previous episodes. But right now, sleds are going through the ice nationally like crazy. It's all over the news. If you're following any kind of national posts or newscasts or anything like that, people are going through, they're going through ice like Bobby Hall in a lounge. You know what I mean? Like, stay off the ice at this point, because at best, you got to dig your snowmobile off the bottom of a river or a lake, which, as we know, is a lot of work. Or you die. But this year, I'm going to use Canada to begin with. on average, 73 people die snowmobiling annually. 73. You know, I mean, that's 73 less people out there enjoying the sport, doing the things that they love, spending time with their family. And I came across this article, and it was from Wisconsin, and 13 people in that state alone died. Just one state. I mean, that's crazy numbers. You know,
it's probably a lot of it's probably preventable too.
Most of it.
Speed, drinking.
Yep. Go riding where you don't know the terrain.
The big thing,
You know, again, going through ice, but in areas where you shouldn't have been, because you didn't know the terrain. You know, so that's pretty crazy. But 73 people in Canada. That's according to Statistics Canada. For those of you that like to drop me a note and go, where do you get your information from? So that's where, and a number of other places as well. And you know, it's funny. We were out talking about the 2 rides that we did this year. Our last ride of the season, which was only a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
We were zipping along, we were pulling up to a warm-up shack, and some guy had missed the turn, and he must have been going with some serious enthusiasm.
Yeah, he took down a few small trees.
They weren't that small. He was lucky that they were dead, not green.
Yeah.
Because if they were live trees, he may not be.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. They pulled him through the bush and out again, so obviously he got out of there.
But yeah, there was some serious firewood chopped by that whoever that was, and I'm sure that they had a rough day. You know, I mean,
and I was just pulling up to the warm-up shack too. Like it wasn't like flying down a trail or something like that.
Exactly.
He was already off the trail, just missed the very last corner before the warm-up shack.
But how fast do you buddy got to go to pull up the warm-up shack?
I think he pinned it off the trail to beat his buddies to the warm-up shack.
It could be, yeah. It was quite a thing. The other thing that I saw that really pissed all of us off on that ride was some knucklehead, and I'm being kind because normally I would call them something else, but this is a family-friendly show. Some knucklehead had gone down the trail the opposite direction in his quad.
Yeah.
And not a quad with tracks, a regular quad.
Yeah, he really messed that up.
And he really tore the trail up, and what a mess. And, you know, I'm not a quadder. I know that one of these days you're going to talk me into buying one. But man, you know what? Respect the trails.
Yeah, especially when the snow's that soft this late in the year.
And then I just got a note from a fellow that, you know, we talk to on the show fairly regularly, like, you know, communicate on different websites and or social media sites. And his comment as a former groomer was, you know, as a groomer, he has to clean up some of that mess and how much extra work it was, you know, and talking about, you know, past show where we got into the trails and trail passes and grooming and efficiencies and all that. And, you know, he made that comment. And I thought, you know what, good comment, because the things that we don't know that these guys have to put up with, right, and fix.
Yeah, they got to fill in all the ruts and stuff. And,
Yeah.
And if you were carrying speed down that trail when you hit where that guy was, you weren't like you're not in control because as soon as you fell into the rut, you were just done.
Also nighttime or something.
Fortunately, at nighttime, it was right at a sharp corner, so we saw it right away. But I was pretty kicked. I was kind of hoping we'd catch up. I was kind of hoping he'd beat the end of our trail when we got there.
Well, that was the same ride that you broke. Well, we both broke shocks in our. You broke a front shock on your ski leg, and I broke a rear shock. Which one of those rides? That same thing. You are having a problem with your snowmobile and your steering, and then you hit a rut, add to the extra problem. You know, I mean, it's just one thing leads to another.
Yeah, for sure. People talk about like, remember with all the complaining about someone riding a horse down the trail, and guys were saying if you hit that horse manure at speed, you're gonna die. Yeah. Well, that's nothing compared to a quad makes.
Yep.
Or even the rooster tail or the mountain that people leave behind when they hammer on the gas and go. But yeah, if people are worried about hitting some horse manure, watch out for those quad ruts.
So a good friend of ours, who actually did the intro and outro guitar music, sent me a link the other day about the Ski-Doo 600 RR E-TEC motors.
Right.
And, you know, in his comments to me, we were talking about it when I saw him the other day. He says, what do you think of this? And I went, I don't know if I'm a fan.
I'm not a fan of any of the new two-stroke motors. just because of emissions. They run them so lean, and they run them on such a little amount of oil. I don't think they're anywhere near as reliable as they were 10 or 15 years ago.
Well, and
I think that's where 4-strokes beat them now.
And I tend to agree with, first off, I completely agree with you, but there's a bunch more that goes with that. First off, they've taken this motor, and it was apparently originally about 125 horsepower, so they've cranked it up another 5 horses to 130.
Yeah. Then
their claim is they are going to burn less gas because they've, fooled with the timing and some other stuff. And they're also going to burn less oil than they're currently burning.
Exactly.
And our pal says, well, isn't that a good thing?
It's good for the environment, not good for the motors.
Yeah, well, and I said, you know what? The problem is these engines might run really good for the first year, second year, but by the time they're off warranty, the guy sold it, you're the second owner, maybe third owner. These aren't motors that have longevity.
Think back to when we were riding when we were younger, and the biggest motor was like a 440. And they got those things up to like 80 horsepower or something.
Yeah, that was
And how reliable were they at that point? They weren't at all. So then they started making 600s and 800s and 1000cc motors.
Yeah.
Just to get some horsepower and then a little more reliability out of them. Now you're scaling back to a 600, getting the same horsepower we were getting it with 800s, and you're using less oil and less gas.
Yeah. Well, for sure. No, I personally think that we're going to see a hanger native an engine here.
I mean, 600s are typically one of the most reliable.
Yeah, but
We'll see.
you can only tweak anything so far. If you want that much more horsepower, buy an 800.
That's true. Absolutely. I've always said that. But I hate 800. 800s blow up like crazy.
Not all of them.
Well, how many times? Yeah, they do.
I've only had.
Every single one you own.
Okay, but one of them was my fault.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, if it had been a 600, it still would have blown up. That was 100% my fault.
Okay.
I leaned it out and then went out in, it was carbureted, leaned it out way too much with some jets and went out in minus 35-ish, 40 below temperature. It was ice cold, so that leaned it even more and popped the motor.
Yeah.
That's not the engine's fault. I gotta own that
Okay, fine.
one. The other one was the exhaust valve. The nut came off the back of the exhaust valve.
So is that 2 times with that 800?
No, that's 2 separate 800s.
Oh, okay, sorry.
But that being said,
Is that including your Dragon?
yes,
Okay.
you were with me on with the Dragon.
Yeah. No, I was with you with the 800 when it died on the Prime Meridian just as you were sitting there idling.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the second time.
I don't recall that.
You dropped an exhaust valve. Me and Bill were sitting at the Prime Meridian. We were all saying goodbye, parting our ways. You fired up your machine. It was just sitting there idling.
Yeah, okay.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm having an old person moment, or you're thinking of someone else, because I really don't remember that. The one time I'm thinking about was when we were at my cottage.
I remember that one. I'll confirm it sometime.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Confirm
Bring
with
in a
people
third.
that were there.
Yeah, bring in a third party to pick one of our sides.
Right on. Okay. Anyway, the point being here that I think taking an engine and removing the amount of oil is a recipe for disaster. And it's like I explained to my buddy yesterday. I said, it's like taking an engine that's used to getting, say, a 50-to-1 mix of oil, and now you've gone to 85-to-1, right? Like it's ultra lean.
And they're surviving at bottom end. Every inch of that motor's surviving on that oil.
Yeah, that's just it. They don't have an oil pan, and snowmobilers know this. But anyone that's watching the show that is either new to the sport or hasn't done a lot of engine wrenching knows we don't have an oil pan. Well, the 4-strokes will, but the 2-strokes don't. That's what we're talking about, is 2-strokes.
I know. I think 2-strokes is pretty much. I hate to say it because I love 2-strokes, but I think they've kind of gone there as far as they can go with them, and still need all these emissions and stuff. If emissions were loosened up, you could keep going with them forever.
Well, I guess if they stop selling snowmobiles in California, this problem will go away, right?
I was talking to a guy with snowmobile in California.
Yeah.
He was asking me some questions about clutching.
Yeah. Well, I guess, how would you hook up properly on the beach?
He said he was one of 2 or 3 people down there that had one up in the mountains.
Oh, right on. Yeah. All right, so Steve, as we said, this is kind of a wrap-up episode. I think it's really good that we have kind of a top 10 moments from the season that we go over.
Right.
And so of the top 10 that kind of came to me, number 10, counting down to number 1,
Okay.
I wonder why, should we get David Letterman on the show? Anyway, number 10. Safety Services Manitoba, the guest episode, Be Safe Out There, where we had Terrace Barron on with us.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And that was a really good show. And, first off, he was our first guest.
Yeah.
And I want to do more of that next year.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a great episode. It really talked about how important learning to manage your snowmobile, learning to ride it was.
Absolutely. I think the club should get involved in putting that on for the younger people. Think
Think
about when we learned, our snowmobiles could only do about 60 miles an hour, and they would tip if you even turned or got close to a ditch.
Oh yeah.
You had to learn to lean, you had to learn, like way over exaggerated, to learn to lean, and our brakes sucked, so you had to learn to brake properly, and our headlights were no good, you couldn't see very far, so you weren't going fast. Our helmets and stuff were crap, so you couldn't see, so you weren't going that fast.
You got 25 horsepower.
And now you've got kids getting on 130 horsepower, 600 motors here, and on sleds that feel like they're floating.
Yeah, well, they're very stable platform.
I can remember getting caught off guard when we first stepped up from, like, even trailing our machines to some of the new machines, and you're just flying down a ditch, and all of a sudden you realize how fast you're going as you're sailing off of a road approach or something, right? And that's after years of riding.
Yep, absolutely.
So if kids are getting to get onto these machines that are this fast and handle this well, they should definitely take some of a course to get used to the controls and know what they're doing and be able to respond to situations.
Safety Services Manitoba offers corporate courses.
Yeah.
I believe there are other courses being offered out there. I can't remember if it's Snowman or somebody, but maybe it's worth going to the Snowman site to see what they offer, because if those courses are out there, again, I strongly suggest you take them.
Yeah.
Number 9, we did a show, not an article, on Articat's electric power steering systems, the EPS systems. We got into a bit of a chick sled debate.
Yeah.
And that generated that generated a little bit of excitement.
I would like to try one now, but I don't think I want the extra parts that can fail.
Yeah, or the weight.
Well, yeah.
But I'd love to try one, just curious, right?
Did you see that big Polaris I was working on? I can't even remember, was that huge big 4-stroke Polaris that looked like a bagger motorcycle that was here?
Basically,
it was
that floating couch?
Yes.
Yes.
Power steering would have probably been pretty nice on a machine like that.
Well, and I'm sure it's got its place.
Yeah.
I really am. And like anything, I find that, when you're sitting still, sure, they're heavy to turn, but once you're gliding down the snow,
if they're set up properly,
they turn fairly easily. Number 8. Steve, you shared your best engine rebuild practices, and you got into everything from procedures, crankshaft quality, best practices, which, down to gaskets and all that sort of stuff, and doing it right the first time. And that one, again, generated a lot of really good information and response from people out there watching, as the people are sharing and they're liking, and of course, they're doing all the other great things, like subscribing. People really enjoyed that conversation.
Don't cut corners and go right to the bottom end of the motor. There was a good thing on Facebook the other day. A guy was just freshly did his top end, and he went 30 miles, and he had a picture of his piston all punched full of little, obviously steel punching to the top of the piston holes, and he's asking why this would happen. And it's pretty obvious that a bearing or something in the bottom is starting to kill apart.
Right.
And there's metal floating around in there, and he just did a top end, lasted 30 miles.
Fresh top end.
Yes. And that's how I responded to it. I said I would never buy a snowmobile with a fresh top end, and I will never do a fresh top end for a customer. So I've got a motor sitting on my bench right now where the guy just wanted me to do the top end. One of his pistons is punched full of little dimples, and I said, no, we're taking it apart and we're looking the bottom end. Exactly. If you got to do a top end, pull the motor out and do everything.
Yeah. Number 7.
Yes, sir.
Wasaga Beach World Record attempt. So, first off, I don't think that there's a lot of Guinness Book World Record attempts in the snowmobiling world, and maybe I'm wrong.
Should look into that.
I should.
Maybe there's something we can actually...
Yeah. But what I loved about that, and the feedback that we got, was it was a great mix of community pride.
Yep.
They're trying to do this, and from the fact that they were going after a Guinness Book of World Records, they also created a lot of donations for charity, which speaks well to the snowmobile community. I thought that was fantastic. It was a
That
big event.
Would have been a neat thing to be part of.
Yeah.
With that many snowmobilers out there.
And you know what? It created a certain level of suspense. Did they do it?
Yeah.
Did they get it? You know, maybe, maybe not. You know, in the end, we found out that they didn't get it, and it's unfortunate.
Do you remember what their number was?
They didn't tell us what the number was. I remember the number they needed, which was 1,048.
Right.
Registered with trail passes to make the record, and it's being held by a club in Alberta at the moment. So at least it's still being held here in Canada, which makes me real happy. Number 6, we talked about what was he thinking, and that was something we introduced in season 2. What was he thinking? We talked about a number of different things that happened, but one of the ones that we got some decent feedback on was the guy that stole the sled, didn't plan his route, and drove it straight into a swamp. And basically the cops walked up and picked him up.
Yeah.
And you know what? We had a good laugh about that because how stupid.
That gets back to don't ride in an area where you don't know your terrain.
But you know what? If you're stealing a snowmobile, you're obviously a dumbass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, you know, with that in mind, of course, you know, people had a good chuckle over that one. And I'm glad the guy was caught. If nothing else, it sends a message.
Yeah.
Steal a snowmobile, you're going to get caught. They're probably lucky it was the cops and not the guy and his buddies.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm going to say that they probably wouldn't have been nearly as kind.
No.
Number 5, vintage sled trail pass pricing.
Yes.
You know what? And I mean, we're going to a vintage sled show and shine this weekend.
You get them all riled up.
Well, but more than that, Steve, it is a truly growing part of the sport.
Yeah, it is.
It really is. Guys are putting a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into bringing these old sleds back and making them look gorgeous and enjoying riding them. And we had a number of great points that we made through that. You know, everything from these sleds being collectible to the, you know, obviously the vintage riders, because we know everyone's getting a little older here. And of course, you know, the show and shine community.
Yeah.
Again, we're doing that as we talked about earlier in this episode.
I want to do more next year after this year.
Yeah.
But a good, like say $25 or $50 a year pass would be great.
Well, and
I won't get onto that whole rider should carry the pass thing. Hey, I thought of something the other day.
Okay.
You know my thing about the rider should carry the pass?
Yes.
Instead of it being on the snowmobile?
Yeah.
If you have a family, mother, father, 3 kids, everyone rides, but you only have one snowmobile, how many passes do you have right now?
4.
1. You only have one because we only have one snowmobile. Okay. So you have a pass on that snowmobile.
Right.
If every rider had to have a pass, they'd have to buy 5 passes. They'd make more money.
Okay. You know what you could do in this day and age?
What?
QR codes.
Yeah, you could somehow. There's gotta be a way
where I
could just jump on any snowmobile I want to go riding.
Well, no, I mean, you auto pack here in Manitoba. We have auto pack. When you go to register yourself or your sled or pay for your driver's license, when you pay for your trail pass, they issue you a QR code that you keep on your phone or you print it off and keep it in your sled. And now you got a QR code. And the cops come up and.
I think the whole problem is those red plates are so visible and easy for them to catch or watch for, right? Well, but if you had to have a little QR code on your windshield or something like that.
No, I mean, carry one with you.
Well, I mean, that
goes to your individuals.
Yeah. Okay,
QR code works for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not going to go and repeat this one up, but it was a good one.
I do like the vintage, reduce the price of the vintage pass.
Yeah.
Because we talked about having a vintage poker derby, and we'd have to be on the groom trails, and that instantly right off the hop costs you $150 just to do that day. Yeah. And if it was a $25 or $50 fee, for the distance you're going to go and the number of times you're going to have your machine on those trails. Sure. And they attract a lot of attention on the trails, and people like to see them on the trails, so it's actually good promoting too.
I think so too. Number 4. Now we're well into the top 5, Steve. Your rant about the new sleds. Steve didn't like the new sleds, right?
They all look the same.
Yeah, you were talking about boring sled designs. Yeah, you were talking about the overpriced electronics. And even, you know, some of the stuff that they just don't need, like that hit the brakes and the engine stops running, you know, that nonsense.
Yes.
You know, there's no real added performance from any of that. And the manufacturers really, you felt, missed the mark.
Well, I think there's no individuality anymore. They're all the same. They all look the same. I mean, the guys riding them will say they're different. Like the guy that told me they all had different spindles. So I had to start memorizing what spindles look like.
Yep.
Skidoo, I did see the other day they came out with that big promotion about where you hit the brake and it stops your motor, and everybody went on about how dumb that was. But what they should have come out with first was they have an adjustable rear height for the rear bumper,
Right.
which is a cool idea because if you're short or taller, you know, if you have to lift in deep snow,
Yep.
and they have 2 seats you can get. You can get a short seat or a tall seat for your sled, and you can adjust the angle on your seat, manual.
So you can slide off faster.
Yeah, but that's two features that they should have mentioned
Yeah.
because they're actually not bad ideas.
Okay. Yeah.
But they still look like little grasshoppery things that are,
Yeah. Number 3, believe it or not, our coverage of military snowmobiles.
right.
Holy, did that light things up on a number of different sites.
Are people happy or upset?
A little of both. Everyone's saying, comments from, it's a piece of equipment, it doesn't matter what they use it for. It's, if it works, use it. Guys going, the military's been using this for years and things like that. To, you guys seem very anti-military with this comment. I went, how the hell did you read that into this? Because it wasn't that. I was actually very, very proud of the Ukrainians beating up the Russians who were using these particular snowmobiles. And
Did anybody say what the Canadian Argo built ones were called?
somebody did. I can't remember what
Okay.
they were. I did find a picture and it was posted in that episode.
Okay.
But that one, like I say, it just it really resonated with a lot of people. I guess you know what? If the snowmobile wants to go to war, let's make him a sergeant and put him to work.
Sure.
Number 2, Manitoba's massive trail system. Is it too much?
Yeah.
You know what? And the things we talked about, quantity versus quality, funding, volunteer burnout, realistic usage, right? Like, are some of these trails not getting enough usage, right? And again, we're still getting some feedback. Even this morning, I had a couple guys send me some information on that one and some of their opinions. And you know what? I love getting good, thoughtful dialogue from people.
Right.
Well thought out comments.
Yeah, even if you're trying to change your mind about something.
Well, I don't mind a good discussion because maybe I am wrong, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it
Maybe
happened
you
once
are.
before,
It has happened, yeah.
1973, but it happened. And so anyways, like I say, I really appreciated the fact that we could have a conversation versus you guys are nuts. You guys are idiots.
So what do people think
We're
about-
married. We already get told that regularly.
What did people think about the sharing of groomers and maybe a few less trails?
There was different opinions on that. One fellow came on and mentioned that, it's already, the one guy driving is putting on a big day of 100 kilometers and a little bit of, a lot of hours. But I'm thinking if you're sharing drivers or hiring an extra operator or two and training them properly, you can dispel some of that. And, we didn't get into a deep conversation about it, but it was a good comment. I really appreciated it.
Right.
And and other people as well would have given us feedback on that. So I'll tell you, like, people take their trails seriously. And I remember when trail passes, we've talked about this, when they came in and groomed, like, the ditches and areas that we were riding for years suddenly were groomed and we had to buy a pass.
Yeah.
Holy shit, were we pissed off.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And now, honestly, it's almost exactly the opposite. People are pissed off when they're not groomed.
True.
We can get into who should pay what, or vintage sleds, or, are we paying too much, or are we not paying enough? Every province charges different. Even down to, is there any kind of an exchange of, if I've got a Manitoba Trail Pass, can I ride with that pass in, say, Saskatchewan or
Yes,
Ontario?
you can. No, you can't.
I know.
I know.
Saskatchewan apparently you can,
Yeah.
and in Ontario apparently you can't.
That's right. That should be something they share a little bit too.
Well, and I'll say this, even if I had to buy a crossover pass, that cost me, I'll say another $50 to go into Ontario. Will you be riding in Ontario at all as well? Then instead of whatever we're 150, it's $200.
Yeah.
And kick some of that money back.
Yeah.
You probably find more people buying into it versus just going across the border, riding and going, screw it, I'm not spending the money on that trail pass, which again lost revenue.
We've ridden to Saskatchewan a couple times and spent our money over there.
Yep, absolutely we have.
Yep.
You betcha. So, number 1.
What number 1 seems a lot like number
Well, it's similar, but you know, I guess really number 2 was how many,
Oh yeah.
how far, you know, and we kind of crossed into number 1 in the conversation here. But really, the trail grooming debate, right? And again, this one is ongoing again. Is it being done efficiently? I say no. I think that there is a huge opportunity for improvement. Now, I'm not saying that people aren't trying hard and they're not doing a good job.
You're
Right?
just saying
I'm not crapping on anybody here.
perhaps clubs could work together to be a little more efficient with what they're doing.
Exactly.
Not that they're not doing a good job, but they could be,
Better.
well, not even necessarily better, but they could be saving themselves a little, maybe some time and money.
Mm-hmm.
Like efficiency-wise, they could.
Mm-hmm. That's why I say, you know, I mean, clubs, everyone you talk to, the people are getting burned out. The volunteers work hard. Every club has that little nucleus that busts its ass, and then a lot of people that just mail in the money to be part of the club.
Yeah.
And that little nucleus does ebb and flow because those people do get burned out. I just think that there's more efficient ways and possibly financially efficient ways of doing this.
Right.
I don't have all the answers, but that was kind of the conversation that you and I had. But it, you know, I mean, it touched on everything from club, politics, to, you know, again, the money and quality debate, and you know, everyone out there has an opinion on this, and we're not necessarily always right.
Well, I don't belong to a club, so I can't really say what they should do, but
Or you should sign up. Well, at least make your cash donation, even if you have no time to do anything beyond
I'd
that.
feel guilty about that too, though.
Mhm.
Like, I like doing what I can, but I'd feel guilty about joining a club and knowing that I don't have time to. I'd rather promote their club or some other way help their club. I wouldn't
Well, I
mind
was
just-
going to say that $50 or whatever it costs you to be a member
I know, but
is a way of promoting and supporting the
Yeah,
club.
I guess so. I'm just
Yeah.
thinking I'd rather just give a club some cash at the beginning of the year and not be a member.
Mm.
Just because I feel guilty if I'm a member and I'm not going to meetings and I'm not, you know, out there helping and volunteering because I have no time in the winter with my shop and everything. So
Yeah, well-
I've always felt that. I belonged to a club when we were in Winnipeg for a while, you know,
Yeah.
and we weren't a grooming club,
Mm-hmm.
so it was easy. But
Yeah. So
you're right.
Yep.
Should join the clubs. Just
Mhm.
do they have a, you know, like a something where you can buy an honorary membership and know that you're like, so say I want to go to Carver, can I buy an honorary membership for out there or to Turtle Mountains? Knowing
I'm
that
sure
I
you
don't,
could
knowing I
join-
don't live anywhere near them, would they be happy with that? Do you think? They'd
I think,
just
yeah, I
get
think
their
they would be.
$50 or
I
whatever.
think they would be. The South Interlake Club, I think it was, what was it? It was $20 a year to join. $20, Steve.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, holy shit.
I don't mind giving them the $20, but then I feel bad that I'm not
Well,
helping
that's a
them.
you problem, not a them
I
problem.
know, I
Because
know.
you are helping them.
I guess.
Here's a question for you.
Okay.
Did you know that Sled Talk is now on Instagram?
I did.
Okay. Yeah, the good people at Sled Talk have now joined the world of Instagram. And so anyone that's out there that's an Instagrammer, again, please follow. And okay, Instagram is the follows.
Should I spin around while you're doing it?
Sure, go ahead, spin around. Look what Steve has. Yeah. Steve.
What was I going to talk about?
You wanted to talk about pressure testing.
Oh, pressure testing, leak down testing on motors.
Yes,
Yeah.
leak down, not call which one.
Yeah, I've never done leak down testing before.
Mhm.
I've always just winged it to
Okay.
find crank seals using brake cleaner, spraying brake cleaner and stuff around them.
Mhm.
And for the most part, that's worked pretty good. But I've started to set myself up with all the leak down test stuff, and we've done a few leak down tests and found a few problems. But mostly what you find is when you're trying to do a leak down test is that the exhaust manifolds are cracked and the exhaust gaskets don't seal, and you find pretty much every leak in a motor except for the crank seals. And after you seal up all the other leaks, you can find that the crank seals are figured out. But it's kind of neat. And we found a Polaris XLT with super blown up crank seals that I didn't think was crank seals when it was running.
No, I mean, you wouldn't expect that from a
I know. So we found that with it, and a little motor ski motor we were looking at. Bad intake manifold leak that I couldn't see. So yeah, it's kind of neat.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a lot more. Well, I'm setting myself up. It takes every snowmobile you do, you have to order like a ton of little plugs and things to plug up all the carb boots and exhaust boots. It's gonna be like a huge box of things to do everybody's motor, but I'll be doing a lot more leak down testing next year.
So your leak down tests are actually discovering other problems in the engines.
Yeah, you got to seal up every leak you find just to try to get to testing the crank seals, right? So at Polaris, first thing it came up showed me was the exhaust manifold crack. So I welded that, and then all the exhaust manifold gaskets were leaking, which they typically do. So I had to seal all that.
Right.
And then once I got all that sealed, I still couldn't pump any pressure into that motor. But when I hooked up some air to it, it was pretty obvious the crank seals were all blown on.
Right.
And it's kind of interesting because you're supposed to pump a motor up to like 7 pounds or so, and it's supposed to hold that for 3 minutes. And since I've never done them before, you know, we were kind of not trusting the tool too much on the first motor we were doing.
Right.
Because we could pump it up, and after 3 minutes it would leak down a couple of pounds, and you don't know if that's, you know.
Within tolerances?
Yeah, but when we really went through that motor, did everything we had to do to it, we pumped that sucker up, and it just held that pressure for the full 3 minutes without dropping at all. So
yeah.
It's going to be trust the tool. If I can't pump up pressure, the motor's got to come out and go to crank seals.
Okay, so here's the question for you.
Yeah.
So it's not crank seals, but you're leaking like hell everywhere else.
Yeah, we would. I mean, everything has to be sealed up to test the crank seals, right?
Yeah,
but so far I found like if the exhaust manifold gaskets are leaking, cracked exhaust or cracked bad manifold gaskets aren't going to affect the way it's running. Really, it's just louder. But on this little motor
until it rips a piece off.
Well, it's just the manifold, like just the exhaust system, right?
Yeah, but then it becomes pretty annoying.
Well, it'd be annoying as hell. But on this motor scoot we were doing, we found the leak around one of the cylinders was actually crooked, so the intake manifold wasn't sealing. And it's not carb boots; it's a steel, like an aluminum intake manifold.
Right.
So it's a straight thing, and it wouldn't seal because the cylinder was on an angle. And we found that with the tester. So it'll test everything. I mean, it's going to find every little leak there is in that motor.
Right.
A lot of them, it's going to find more leaks than probably you'd imagine.
So the nice thing, I think from what I hear you say is when you're done, having done the test and done the repairs, the guy isn't going to be back here in a month going, my engine burned down again, what the hell?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because first off, you don't need the grief, and I know you make good on warranty.
Yep.
But the guy that owns the sled doesn't need the grief of, shit, here we go again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'll be more confident with the motors when they leave here because a small leak in a seal, that engine might run good for years.
Yeah.
But at least I'll know about it now.
All right.
It's just a pain in the butt test to do because of all the fittings you need and all the other things you find leaking while you're doing it.
Okay.
I think I'll start doing it to my new motors when I rebuild them. I've never done that before. People will probably say I should have always been doing that.
You know what? Everything in its time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to say that there's probably lots of guys out there that do work like you do, that don't do what you're doing now. And, you know, like anything with time and experience, you add tools that make the job more efficient.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the idea. You can't do everything with a hammer and a standard screwdriver.
Picked up a timing kit this year too, so I can easier time points on motors. Yeah, we've always kind of jerry-rigged stuff to do that in the past, but
right.
I picked up a proper little kit for that this year too.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. What else you got for us, Steve?
That's about it.
That's about it for today?
Yeah.
So this has been our, I'll call it season 2 wrap-up.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for everyone that has liked or shared or subscribed or followed us or whatever you do on whatever your favorite social media site is. We certainly appreciate you joining us on the shows and everything that's going on. As we know, snowmobiling is all about performance, and Performance Supply is all about making sure you have a great snowmobile season. Bring your summer projects into Steve so that come this fall, you're ready to go.
Bring your snowmobile summer projects in, not your quad and SUV summer projects.
Not your outboard motors?
Not your outboard motor summer projects.
Not your mopeds?
No mopeds.
No.
Or lawnmowers or riding mowers.
But
if you got a snowmobile motor you want rebuilt.
What about my rototiller?
No, I don't want to do anything rototiller. No
okay.
Generators.
Okay.
I just did a generator the other day and I remembered why I don't like generators anymore.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.